My job here is to help you turn into the best Tony Hawk rider out there. So let's get going and start shredding it up. First thing you want to do is get comfortable on the board. Step up onto the board. If your right foot is on the back of the board, you're regular footed. If it's in the front of the board, you're goofy footed, like me. Whichever way you stand on the board needs to be rotated so your right heel is always over the button. Once you're on the board, go ahead and tilt it a bit to get comfortable. Ideally, your back foot should be placed along the back curve of the board. You'll find out why later on. To move forward on the board, you'll want to do a push. Take either foot, preferably your back foot, and swipe it by the side sensors of the board. 3 good swipes and you'll be at maximum speed. In skating, an ollie is when you pop the board up into the air using only your feet. Make sure your back foot is positioned properly on the back curve of the board. This will make it easier to pop the board up. To perform an ollie, quickly lift up the front of the board by pressing down on the back of the board with your back foot. Next up are flip tricks using tilt. Tilt flip tricks involve popping up an ollie and then with your back foot tilting the board in a direction. You'll get different tilt flip tricks based on the direction of the tilt. As before, your foot position is key to successfully performing the trick. Try out different timings of the ollie and tilt to see which is more comfortable for you. Flick flip tricks use the same idea of an ollie and another motion. So first you do your ollie, then instead of a tilt, you will quickly rotate the board either clockwise or counterclockwise. You'll notice that the board spins around in the direction of the quick rotation. Once again, it's lift up quickly for an ollie, then a quick rotation of the board either clockwise or counterclockwise. Now it's time to get into manuals. With ollies, it's all about popping up the front of the board. With manuals, it's still about lifting the front of the board, but now we want you to do it slower. By slowly raising the front of the board, you will see that the skateboard doesn't pop into the air. Instead, we are initiating a manual, or what some people would call a wheelie. Now, revert skating, you'll want to turn the board to be parallel with the screen, and make sure the buttons on the side of the board are facing away from the screen. When your character is heading towards the left side of the board is considered the nose. When heading to the right side of the board is the nose. To drop in, simply raise the nose of the board and then drop it down. Getting height and vert is as easy as popping an ollie. The key here is to make sure you time it properly. As you approach the top of the ramp, pop an ollie right at the very top. This area is the coping. To spin in the air when coming off the top of the ramp, try tilting the board right before the coping. You can tilt the board either way. Make sure you tilt it before the coping to get the spin. If you tilt it in the air, you'll do a flip trick instead. The more severe the tilt, the more spins you'll get. 3 of the 4 sensors on the board will allow you to make grabs. The sensor on your heel edge will be disabled. Whichever sensor you put your hand by, that's where the skater will grab the board. To perform an invert, move your hand over the front sensor as you approach the top of the ramp. The timing is the same as the stall, but it's about hand placement over the sensor and not about popping an ollie.